You first. How would you decide? Hey everybody, welcome to Kent with Bent. I'm here. Bent is here. Kent is, he's here via video. I absolutely would not have him here live. So not gonna do that. But yeah, we're here. Bent, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing better now that I realized I would had my microphone really far away. Sorry about that, everybody. That's Dapper's a professional right there. We'll just take a quick drink for that. Yeah, because that was dumb of me. Sorry about that. Also, Jillian Wren for $2 says, happy birthday to the now 9-year-old. Well, happy birthday. And there's a Mothra, so we'll take a drink for Mothra. So congratulations.
Happy birthday.
All right. So, yeah, we are here for Kent with Bent. For those of you who might be new, what this show is basically we take a look at the various output of one fake doctor, Kent Hovind, doctor of dinosaurs and the Bible, who doesn't know what a dinosaur is and can't even figure out who the Bible says it was written by when it says it was written by someone, which occasionally it does. Occasionally that's a lie. Actually, I'm trying to think, are there any books? Yeah, I guess several of the Pauline epistles that are authentic do claim that they're from Paul. So yes, okay, yeah. So sometimes the Bible is right when it says who wrote a book. Sometimes it's not. So there's that. Anyway, we're not here to talk about biblical authorship, unless Kent brings it up, which sometimes he does, but not often. So, but yeah, we take a look at his stuff. Usually we go for some of his older stuff. For one thing, I think his presentation style was better back in the day, back before he went to prison. Oh, and the 9-year-old says thank you to us, Bent. So you are welcome. I hope you have a wonderful birthday. Darker Law Dragon, who's been a member for 42 months, says a Godzilla, a Mothra, a Ghidorah, and an AIG are a bag of dicks. So let's take a drink for that. And yeah, so we look through those Kent things, and we basically point out how incredibly dumb it is. And while we do that, we have a bit of a drinking game. Now, I want to be clear. The drinking game is just for fun. You absolutely do not have to participate. If you do participate, you do not need to do so with alcohol or any other intoxicating substance. You are free to play with, I don't know, water, coffee, tea, juice, soda, alcohol too, but like a hit from the vape pen, a chip. You can eat a chip for each time we take a drink. I don't care. High five someone who's next to you. Whatever. Or you can just choose not to participate at all. Also fine. This is not a this is just for fun. So, let's see. We do have some rules for it. Oh wait, I forgot the disclaimer. Yeah, if you decide to participate with any kind of intoxicating substance, please pace yourself, know your limits, and then do not go on to then play this game and then go drive a car, operate heavy machinery, fly an airplane or other aircraft, or text your ex. These are all bad ideas. Further, neither Bent nor I nor the Dapper Dinosaur channel as a whole accept any responsibility or liability for any death, dismemberment, grievous bodily damage, or any damage to property that may result from you playing this game and then going and doing something stupid. So don't do it. All right. That being said, let's go through the drinking rules. We've already seen a few of them. One of them is that if anyone sends a super chat or a channel milestone chat for the memberships that includes any of our kaiju emoji, that is Godzilla, Mothra, and Ghidorah, we will take a drink. Also, if it includes anything to the effect that answers in Genesis is a bag of dicks, we'll take a drink. Now, you do have to be a little bit careful with that because YouTube will censor it if you just type in X is a bag of dicks. So you got to be a little bit clever about it. They don't censor most other languages, apparently, because apparently either people who speak other languages don't care about the same kind of things that Anglophones do, which is often true, or YouTube just doesn't care about any other languages besides English, which is also just often true for the internet broadly. So there is that. Goop23 for $5 says, just got back from a night on the town. Read as, I got a teddy bear and a cupcake. Nice. AIG is a bag of when you step in slush and your shoe gets wet. Ugh. I am so happy that that has not happened to me in years because I live in a place where it basically never snows. It has snowed once since I've been here, and it was like, what was it, like 1.5 centimeters of snow or something, and it was gone by like 8 a.m.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, we'll take a drink for that though. Thank you. I'm assuming that happened to you, Guptu3, and I am sorry that it did, because that sucks. All right. So let's go through some of the other drinking rules. We'll also take a drink if Kent Hovind says something so stupid, we kind of just have to, for like the sake of brain coolant, you know? Gotta bring the temperature down on the brain, so you take a little drink. We'll also take a drink if Kent Hovind tells a joke that doesn't land or tells a story that didn't happen. That one's a bit of a judgment call, but also again, this is just for fun. It doesn't matter. Like, no one's winning any money or losing any money or going to prison or anything if we get this wrong. So like, who cares? Yeah. Anyway, we'll also take a drink if Kent Hovind actually gets something factually correct, but it can't just be a citate or him reading from a citation, right? It actually has to be in his brain and then he has to say it. That doesn't mean he can't have a citation for it. It just means he can't be quoting that whatever source it is when he says it. We'll also take a drink if Kent Hovind mentions that political party from the 1930s over in Germany that got really popular and is now becoming increasingly popular here in North America, in the middle country, if you will. Yeah, y'all know what I'm talking about. Now, importantly, this is not the Godwin's Law drinking rule, because Godwin's Law involves comparing your opponent to the leader of that party in an effort to basically do an ad hominem against them. And we do not require him to accuse anyone of being like anybody from those parties. We just require him to mention them. Although certainly violating Godwin's Law would count. We also have the rule of Trojan source. If Kent Hovind cites a source and the source not only fails to support him, but actively contradicts him, then we will take a drink. This is similar to Toon's first law of Flurf, where Flurf citations always contradict the Flurf claim, but it's a little bit milder, which is to say, Young Earth creationist citations to non-Young Earth creationist sources never support the claim of the Young Earth creationist unless that claim is not itself supportive of Young Earth creationism. But they do not always contradict the claim. There's a difference, right? So, like, if I was said, there's 52 cards in a standard deck of cards, and for some reason Bent wanted a source, and I cited, like, a cookbook, well, the cookbook doesn't say there's a different number, but it also doesn't at all support my claim, so that's a Trojan source there. Or not a Trojan source there. It would have to actually say it's a different number. Anyway, we also have the ad hominid. Ad hominid can only happen once, because once it happens one time, it just keeps happening over and over and over again. But that's what happens when a creationist mixes up what we can know about Lucy from just her one skeleton of that one individual of Australopithecus afarensis with what we can know about any wider taxon to which she belongs, whether it be hominids, Australopithecus afarensis, any of those. So my favorite example is if they say, well, we don't know if Lucy could walk upright because we don't have her foot bones. Well, we have other Australopithecus afarensis foot bones, and we know for certain they could walk upright, so it doesn't matter. Also, if they do something like I heard recently, some creationists complaining that the Laetoli prints were too big for Lucy to have made them, and then the response is just like, well, yeah, Lucy, the individual Australopithecus, did not make those tracks. No one thinks that. Those are other members of the species. Right? It's like owning a dog and then finding dog tracks somewhere where your dog's never been. I mean, like, wait, how did my dog get here? It's like, it didn't. There's more than one dog out there, man. What do you... Anyway, that's ad hominid. Also, there's prediction. If either Bent or I can get a prediction about what Kent is about to say when it's not very, very obvious, we'll take a drink for that. I think that's all the ones that Kent triggers. Have I missed any that Kent causes us there, Bent?
No, you have not.
All right. We will also take a drink for a few things that you guys can cause, and one that I can cause, which we already did, which is Dapper's a Professional. If I screw up the production of this show, whether it be through muting myself or muting someone else when I shouldn't have, or playing the wrong intermission video, or, I don't know, playing a video when I switch scenes that shouldn't be there, anything like that, we take a drink for Dapper's a Professional. Now, what we do not do is take drinks if what happens is outside of my control. So, for instance, if say like a hawk crashes through the window, destroys my computer, and then slashes up my face, that's going to be a disruption to the production of this show. But it's not a drink trigger, because I'm not in charge of hawks. It would be cool if I were, but I'm not. I'd be a superhero, wouldn't I? Would that count as well, I'd be a super something. I don't know if I'd be a hero. Maybe I'd be a super villain.
Well, that would be a superpower.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. It wouldn't be the superpower I would choose if I could pick from all of the superpowers that I could think of, Wouldn't be a bad one, being in charge of hawks. You know, it's probably more useful than Aquaman being in charge of fish.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, like, oh no, the villain has fled to Colorado. Aquaman, what are you gonna do? It's like, I don't know, call someone else. Someone else's problem now. They went too far from the ocean. All right. Also, if you guys super chat, we already did the AIG is a bag of dicks, so there's that. All right, I think the only other one I am missing then is that for gifted memberships, if you give 5 memberships, I take 5 drinks. If you give 10, I take 10. Now, if you get like past like 30, I'm just going to finish this beer and go grab another one and increment the counter by 30, but I'm not going to sit there and try to count out 30 drinks. Sorry, I'm too lazy for that. All right. Let's see. Templar Warden for 2 Kiwi dollars says Skasid Fogab Sigya, which of course is AIG is a bag of dicks backwards, and then says also holy deja vu. Holy deja vu indeed. Oh, there is one thing I am forgetting. If you check the pinned comment, you will find a link to a fundraiser to support Vishanti changing her housing situation. She is no longer able to continue to live in the apartment that she's been in for, well, basically since this channel started, as a result of 2 roommates moving out, one without even notice and in secret, which is fun. And also that person then sticking her with bills that she didn't think she would have because, you know, no one told her there wouldn't be a roommate there. So we are currently 69% of that goal, which is very nice. But if you want to get her there, rather than just enjoy the joy of it being at 69, you can donate there. I will be counting those at a 1.5 times in terms of things like getting Bent free pizza, getting another vote for the next avatar for a special avatar, or even making Bent wear a tutu. If we get that thing to 100%, Bent wears a tutu. And also if we get it to 200%, instead of Bent wearing a tutu, I wear a tutu on Saturday. So, you know.
Very nice.
Yeah. Feel free to help out. Also, it is the start of a new month, which means my anxiety about whether or not I can pay the bills is always going to be higher at the start of a new month because YouTube stares at me and says, hey, your total income for January is like 0. It's like, yeah, I know YouTube. January just started. Stop it. But they keep telling me. Anyway, let's see. For 200 Argentinian pesos, Galileus Galilei says the algorithm detects the main language on the chat and monitors slurs/bad words mainly in that language. Oh, so here I can get away with several bad words in Spanish, but in Spanish stream I couldn't. Interesting. I did not know that. Thank you. That is excellent to know, actually. All right. Let's see what else we got. For $2 from Naramda puts that last comment is a cartil test. I don't know what that means. That is a word I'm not familiar with. Naramda puts, feel free to at me and let me know what that word means because I have not heard that word before nor seen it. Actually, it's possible I've heard it and I don't know how to pronounce it based on that spelling, but I'm pretty sure I've never seen it. Metageeky Platypus Librarian for $2 says Dino stops Dino streams on why first Dino not a Dino. That is a lot of the word Dino. I'm trying to parse this. Dino stops Dino stream on why first Dino not a Dino. Well, one thing is like, how would you tell what the first dinosaur is? Like, say you find the oldest dinosaur we've ever found. How do you know that's the first one? You don't. There's no way to know. But also, Jens Van Broekhoven has gifted 5 Dapper Dinosaur memberships. Thank you so much. I will take 5 drinks. Bent will do whatever he wants. But while I'm taking those 5 drinks, I would encourage Bent to tell all of you why it is that Bent doesn't watch Stargate.
There's so many shows out there that I haven't watched. So many shows. I haven't even watched The Wire. You want me to watch Stargate before I watch The Wire? I mean, I can. Maybe we could do a poll and see. But, like, there's just so much good stuff out there. So, yeah, that's why I haven't watched Stargate yet.
Oh, Naramda puts is telling me I've probably seen the word. Oh, it's a literacy. Yeah, literacy test. That last comment is a literacy test. Okay. Why would you spell literacy backwards? That is confusing to me. All right. Anyway, now that I'm done being dumb for now, I'm sure it'll happen again, probably very soon. Let's get back to Kent. Kent had recently just told us that someone, one time, we don't know who or when or where or why or in what context, but someone, sometime, had told him that if 20 stars exploded near each other, they would produce enough energy to collapse a cloud of hydrogen into a new star. I do not intend to contest this because I don't know how I would find out that that's true. I don't know who would say that to anyone. I don't know why it would matter that that may or may not be true. Yeah, it seems like a completely irrelevant thing to anything that Kent ever talks about. But for some reason, he likes to bring up that anecdote that probably isn't true. Olivia Williams. Oh, I gotta get your whole name here. Hold on, I have to change windows here. Olivia Williams, Purple Fairy, for 2 beaver bucks says, will saying AIG is a bag of dicks in French... Oh, sorry. I think you meant, well, saying AIG is a bag of dicks in French doesn't work. Really? That's unfortunate. How are they monitoring French but not Spanish? Because I've seen people do Spanish and, like, they just don't care. But, like, come on. More of the internet has to be in French than Spanish, right? Anyway, we're going to take a drink anyway, but... Actually, I don't know. If someone wants to look up, like, language use on the internet by, like, volume of actual traffic there, let me know, because, I think there's more Spanish than French, but I don't actually know. I know there are more Spanish speakers than there are French speakers, but, like, that doesn't have to correlate, because there's more English on the internet than, say, Chinese, but more people write and read Chinese than write and read English. So, I mean, I don't know. Also, we have just had some additional, let's see, looks like another $50 added to the Vishanti's fundraiser, so thank you very much. That can't possibly be right. Oh, no, it is not right. It was 250 added. So we're more than halfway to Bent getting a free pizza. So there we go. All right, now we can actually start for reals for real.
You ought to run for Congress and help those guys borrow their way out of debt.
That was a joke that didn't land. Basically, he's complaining that if it takes 20 dead stars to create a new star, then you're always declining in the number of stars. I don't think it's ever been anyone's position anywhere that you're required to have 20 stars explode in order for a new one to form. In fact, if you look at star forming regions in the galaxy or in other galaxies, they're not in places full of active, like, novas and supernovas. So, yeah.
You're not going to get ahead if you lose 20 to gain 1. I mean, figure it out. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to think about it.
Imagine being Kent and thinking that that is actually the main explanation for star formation, and that no astronomer or astrophysicist has ever noticed the mathematical problem there. Like, Kent actually thinks that everyone but him is a moron. Yeah.
It's so little self-awareness.
It's true. Oh, for $2, Victoria Macario says, AIG ist ein Pimmeltüte. I don't know enough German, I'm sorry, but I'm pretty sure that was some German right there, because, I mean, I don't know too many other languages where eine is a indefinite article. So, we'll take a drink. And if there is another language like that, then yeah, let me know, because I would like to know. Take a drink. There we go. I almost forgot the actual drink part. Zerolon, who's been a member for 27 months, says, but Dapper, the Okampa, you can math bad and live. I do not want to talk about how bad the Star Trek Voyager writers are at biology. But I'm pretty sure that they're worse at biology than the average astrophysicist is at, well, astrophysics. So, you know.
Genesis chapter 1 says, God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and seasons, and for days and years, and he made the stars also. Okay. Bible's real clear. God made the stars on day 3, this would have been.
Right, Kent, we all know what the claim is, right? The claim is pretty obvious. You believe everything that Genesis 1 says literally, and you also somehow try to pretend that you believe everything that Genesis 2 says literally, even though those things are in conflict with each other. They can't both be literally true at the same time. But whatever, we're going to ignore that. You have workarounds for that. But that's the claim. It's not the evidence, right? Like if I said, hey, Bent, did you know that that guitar in the background actually weighs 5,000 tons?
I did not know that.
Yeah, well, you know how I know?
How do you know?
I just told you it's true, so
Hmm.
isn't that sufficient evidence?
I feel like that's not true, though.
Well, I said it, so are you calling me a liar?
Yes, I am.
Okay, what if I said that God told me that guitar weighs 5,000 tons?
I still wouldn't believe you.
Even though I have the authority of God?
I don't think that's how that works.
Oh, okay, so you're saying that just because something says something and then claims to have the authority of God, that's not actually evidence that that thing is true on its own?
That's not evidence. And I have evidence that suggests the guitar weighs less than that.
What, like your memories that I falsely implanted into your brain just a few minutes ago?
Because I can pick it up and I'm not that strong.
Oh, I don't see you doing it. But okay, I'll believe you for now. Carnival Frog just gifted 5 Dapper Dinosaur memberships. Thank you very much. I'm going to take 5 drinks, and maybe Ben can tell us how he knows so much about the mass of the guitars that he owns, which he already did tell us, so ignore that. Ben, say other things that are fun.
Well, the reason I know is because I've weighed my guitars, because I had to make sure they were under a certain weight so that I could hang them on the wall.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I never really thought about that. Yeah,
I
okay.
had to when I hung them on the wall.
Yeah,
They all weigh about, well, I think the max weight was 15 pounds, and they're all well under that.
okay. Interesting. You know what? Yeah, you give me like 100 years, I would not have remembered that would be an important thing for you to do. Mostly because I kind of forget that you've hung your guitars up because they're always in a room that no one goes into.
Yeah, it's true.
So, all right. Well, here we go.
Or day 4. Day 4, he made the sun, moon, and stars. Day 3, he made the plants.
Okay.
So if he made the stars on day 4, after the earth. Now see, according to evolution, stars are made first and then the earth. According to the Bible,
According to astronomy, Kent, not evolution. The theory of evolution has nothing to say about stars. Stellar evolution is also not about the birth of stars so much as it is their transition from protostars to main sequence to stellar remnants. But like, that's not the same thing as the initial collapse. That happens before stellar evolution. And also, stellar evolution really has virtually nothing to do with biological evolution. This is the thing you got to watch out for with creationists. They like to conflate virtually every aspect of science that they don't like into just the umbrella of evolution. I think in part it's because they don't want to have it be so obvious, even to themselves, that they reject virtually all of science. So they're like, no, I don't dislike science. I just like evolution. It sounds like it's less than what they actually reject. What they actually reject is all of physics, all of astronomy, all of biology. Okay, maybe not all. The vast majority of these things. Even most of chemistry, they reject. They reject most of information theory because it shows that information under any useful definition actually can increase via evolutionary mechanisms, as we've seen it happen in real time. So they instead, they're just like, oh, I just reject evolution, but science is great. You'll hear Ken say that all the time. But remember, when they say that, what they mean is science. And if you listen to their ideas about science, you'll find very quickly that they actually hate science a lot, right? Like, I've been working on a script about Georgia Purdom, who is Answers in Genesis, like pet PhD in genetics. They also have Jason Lyle, or not Jason Lyle. What's the other guy? The guy I always mix him up for. The guy who wrote Traced. The guy with the Harvard degree. Nathaniel Jeanson, that's his name. Nathaniel Jeanson. For some reason, I always mix up Nathaniel Jeanson and Jason Lyle. I don't know what it is. Maybe like they look similar to me. I don't know. But then again, like all mammals look basically the same to a dinosaur, so who knows? But yeah, those two are basically their pet PhDs in genetics. And she basically just compared the idea of hypothesis testing and empirical data to affirming the consequent. It's like, no, that's just science. If that's affirming the consequent, then all of science is affirming the consequent, Georgia. So what you say you don't like is just all of science. It's the very basic idea of science that you don't like. Got it. See, Sharon Lane, who's been a member for 1 month at the tetrapod level, sends a Godzilla, a Mothra, and an AIG as a bag of dicks emoji. So we will take a drink for all of those. Thank you very much. Wow, I'm actually already starting to run low on this beer. Maybe I'm drinking the beer too fast. We might have to take an early break for me to go get more beer.
Really?
Yeah. Actually, there was a YouTube channel I found that made an entire country song out of country musicians saying cold beer or variations thereof. So for like 2.5 minutes, it's just various country artists saying cold beer, cold beer, cold beer, cold beer. Cold. It was pretty hilarious, actually.
Sounds very funny.
It was really, really funny.
Earth is made first, and then the stars. Absolutely backwards.
Cool. That's a point against your interpretation of the Bible, Kent, or just the Bible as a whole. If you feel like your interpretation is the only valid one, that's what that is. Gordon Loves Science for 1999 says AIG is a bag of goods with Peyronie's disease. Thank you very much. I'll take a drink. Sorry, for some reason, all the text is very, very small, and if I zoom in, it just disrupts how big it is on the screen for you guys, and I don't know why that is. But it means that I have to sit there and squint a little bit sometimes. Or maybe my vision is just going. That's at least a possibility. You know what they don't make is really good glasses for dinosaurs. It's unfortunate. But we'll take a drink, though, because I didn't do that yet.
Shame.
It is. That's why I have to wear a monocle, right? Because it's easier to find a big monocle than it is a pair of glasses that are going to fit over an entire dinosaur face.
Exactly.
Yeah. Did you know that? Do you know why monocles are basically not a thing anymore? And if someone needs a monocle, what they actually end up getting is just glasses with one plain glass and one actual lens.
Why is that?
It's the Nazis. The Nazis wore too many monocles, and so they fell out of favor everywhere else. Even in times where you would be better off wearing a monocle than glasses. Nope. People get glasses instead because no one wants to look like a Nazi officer. Although, hey, who knows? Maybe Greg Bovina will be found in a monocle sometime because he seems to like looking like a Nazi officer, given the trench coat and the very fashy haircut. So, who knows? Maybe we'll see him. Although, I feel like he's on the outs, so I don't know. Maybe we won't see him with a monocle. Oh, and I get it. It's not black trench coat though. It's olive green. That makes it different. Yeah. Okay.
And guys like Hugh Ross and everybody's always trying to accommodate what they think is acceptable science with trying to make the Bible bend to fit their scientific theory.
I want to translate that into normal people speak. What he's accusing Hugh Ross of is saying, well, we know with very high confidence that certain things are true about the real world, and we don't have the same level of confidence about the Bible in these certain areas. So, if we're going to maintain that the Bible has authority, which he wants to, we're going to have to take into account the aspects of reality that do not seem to fit with a literal interpretation of certain parts of the Bible. Now, I am not your pastor or your priest or your rabbi or your imam or your, what else we got there, Bent? What am I missing? Bishop? I'm not your bishop. Yeah. I'm not your deacon. I'm not your mufti. I don't know. I'm running out of things that are titles. I'm not your Dalai Lama. I'm not your any kind of lama. So whatever you do in your faith community and your faith tradition and your interpretive framework, I don't really care. I'm not here to tell you what the right thing to do is. But I can tell you this. If you want to say the Bible trumps reality, well, in a scientific standpoint, you're just wrong, right? Because all that matters in science is the data. Goop23 for $5. The 20-star argument feels like a guy online powered Doom with rotting potatoes. Oh, so you think rotting potatoes is the only way to power Doom? Yeah, it does kind of sound like that. Yeah. I brought up that the guy who used 20, or not just 20, but a bunch of rotting potatoes to power a Raspberry Pi to play Doom because he wanted to play Doom on a literal potato. But technically you can't. So he just powered the Raspberry Pi via rotting potatoes. And yeah, he played Doom on it, which is pretty impressive.
It's very nice.
Yeah, although I've been noticing, I think that Can It Ray Trace is becoming the new Can It Run Doom. And people are trying to get very, very basic video games to do ray tracing. I have Quake, and I can enable ray tracing in the original Quake for some reason.
Nice.
It doesn't have higher definition textures. It doesn't have higher poly count models. But my God, the lighting effects can look really, really good. All right, here we go.
Not going to work. Psalm 147. He counts the number of the stars. Interesting verse. That doesn't say he knows how many there are.
I mean, I feel like that's a pretty obvious implication, but sure, whatever. I don't really care. Maybe, do you think Kent is about to like disavow omniscience for God?
It seems like he might.
Is Kent an
I don't
open
know.
theist?
I
That
don't
would
know
be
where he's going
interesting.
with it.
That would be that's certainly very it's certainly very variant from what traditional Christianity would say about these topics, and that would be interesting because while Kent likes to pretend that he doesn't like the traditions of men and man's word, dude is stooped in various extra biblical traditions. Just not stooped, steeped. That's the word I'm looking for. Steeped. I know what words are. Yeah, dude just covers himself in extra biblical, post biblical traditions, which like I don't really care about. Just don't skin off my back. You do whatever you want in that terms of that. But like, he then goes on to pretend that he's like, oh, sola scriptura or sola scriptura. I don't want to mix languages there. Zerolon for $5 says Ceratosaurus aren't llamas. No, they're not. But they look so similar. Do they? I don't think they look similar to either kind of llama. Does AIG think they're a kind Ceratosaur? So Ceratosauroidea is a clade. I don't know if they actually include that as a kind, but then again, there's Ceratosauridae, which includes Ceratosaurus and I think a few other genera. I don't actually know. I could probably find out because Erica has a I think what is it? I think it's an Excel file that she compiled with all the kinds that are listed in the Ark encounter on one of their plaques. Like she took a picture of it and then combined it into an Excel file so that it's easily searchable. But I don't know if I have a copy of that file, so I could probably get it from her. Yeah, it's not like we don't talk. Let's see. They are known for bagging things inappropriately. I see what you did there. I'll take a drink. That's a good one. But oddly enough, like the Ark encounter, that plaque is the closest thing we can find, and by we I mean the science friends, to an official kinds list from Answers in Genesis, and it's restricted to just the kinds they think were on the Ark. But that's a lot more than any other list that they're ever giving us. So it's an interesting look because they make some interesting choices there, some very weird choices. Like for one thing, I think they shoot themselves in the foot a little bit by like breaking up Ceratopsidae, or well, Ceratopsia, into like Ceratopsidae and like Protoceratopsidae and a bunch of other families within Ceratopsia, which is a larger clade that includes several families. I was like, guys, you could just eliminate a whole bunch of spots on the Ark by just saying Ceratopsia. And like, I would think it's ridiculous, but the average Ark encounter goer wouldn't know the difference, and it would save you on the number of kinds you have to put on your list. So I don't know. They make weird choices I wouldn't make if I were them. But then again, I'm smarter than all of them in the sense that I actually... no, that's not fair. What is a fair thing to say there? I'm willing to acknowledge the truth of more things than they are, and in doing so, I'm able to actually better assess what would be a less terrible argument for creationism, because I actually can start with what's actually true and minimizing the number of lies that I have to tell if I wanted to support young Earth creationism, which I do not, obviously. But yeah, it's weird because I realize, like, if I wanted to, I could be a much better creationist than any of these idiots and liars. I just don't want to.
He knows the number of each one.
I'm sorry. Is Kent saying that God has a catalog where every star has a number? Is that what Kent is about to do?
Well, first he said name, but now he's saying number. So I'm not sure.
What psalm was this? It was like Psalm 27 or something. Let's see if I can find it. 1 second. Okay, Psalm 147. He determines the number of the stars. Okay, so let's see. King James, he telleth the number of the stars, he calleth them by their names. New King James, he counts the number of the stars, he calls them all by name. Let's see. New American Standard, he counts the number of the stars, he gives names to all of them. Yet none of this seems to indicate that he's giving a number to the stars. It seems like he's naming the stars and counting how many there are. So that's what I'm getting from this. If anyone wants to investigate like the actual Hebrew or anything of this, feel free, and then please let me know what you uncover. Which means, hey Vishanti, if you're here and you wanted to like look into that, I'd appreciate it.
That is star number 2,572 million.
Yep, that is what he means. That's what he means. That's very, very dumb. I'm just gonna take a drink because like I don't know why Kent makes up these absurd interpretations of the Bible, but like even if you want to take the Bible literally, that's not what it says there. It doesn't say that every star has a number. It says every star. It says it implies every star has a name, and it implies that God counts them. But counting them is not the same as giving them an index number, right? Like if I don't know what's the other thing. Like let's say I got a dozen donuts at the store, right? But for some reason I feel like, oh wait, hold on, is that actually a dozen? I get home and I want to count, right? And then I count, and I'm like, oh no, there was only 11 donuts. The store, they swindled me. Okay, that doesn't mean I gave every donut an index, right? That's not how that works. It doesn't mean I'm like, oh hey, you gave me donuts 1, 2, 3, 4, so on, through 11. But where's donut 12? That's dumb. That's not what counting is. If you were to rearrange the donuts, I wouldn't care because you didn't mess up an index that I have in my brain and they need to be in index order. That's not what counting is, Kent. Why does Kent not know what the word counting means?
Well, there's too many syllables. It's hard.
You might actually be right about that, and I hate it.
He knows the number of each one. It also says he knows the number of the hairs of your head. That doesn't.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that just means he knows the total number, Kent. And, like, here's the thing, right? In order to index things in a non-arbitrary way, which is the only way to index them in a way that it means that the index is meaningful, it has to be non-arbitrary, there has to be some way to know where to start. And it has to be a fairly objective way, such that there's a meaningful difference if you start somewhere else, right? So, like, if I wanted to index, say, like, customers in my database, I might do it by like the day they gave me their first order if I were running like a business that like that, right? And that would be a meaningful way to number them, right? But if I just decided to use a random number generator and give everyone a random index number, that wouldn't be a real index. It would just be a random numbers associated with it. But that's how it is with hairs and stars, right? There's no objective hair 1 or star 1. So you can't meaningfully index them. That's not how it works. Just why is Kent bad at math?
Math is hard, even though there's only one syllable.
Remember, this guy claims to have taught math, though.
That's true. He did say that he taught math, but I don't know if he's teaching like addition and subtraction and that's it.
Part of me wants to call Kent and ask him what the Bible has to say about differently sized infinite sets. Like, does the Bible have anything to weigh on whether or not the set of all whole numbers is bigger or smaller or the same extent as the set of all real numbers? Which, spoiler alerts, the set of real numbers is in fact bigger. Do you think he would be able to even assess that question? Like, make it make sense in his brain?
I don't think Kent would understand what you're talking about.
Okay. Here's a fun fact. You can index all the whole numbers. You cannot index all the real numbers. Right? It's actually not that hard. You start at 0, then you go to 1, -1, -2, or sorry, then 2, -2, 3, -3. There you go. You just found a way to index all the whole numbers.
Just mean he knows how many. It means he's a number of each one. See, there's number.
I also want to point out that if you actually could index all the hairs in a meaningful way, you would also know the actual whole all around number of them, because you would just look at which hair has the highest index number. That's it. That's all it would take. Fits of Rage 23 for $2 says, Kent just made me pull out hairs 14, 357, and 2,573. I'm so sorry to hear that. Goop23 for $2 says, SSN, Solar Security Number. Nice. I like it. What? This is part of like the genre of young earth creationism where I really don't get it, which is just like being dumb for no reason. Like, I get why creationists are dumb about most things. It's the same reason flat earthers are dumb about most things, because your beliefs contradict most of reality. So in order to hold to those beliefs, you have to be dumb about most of reality. But then both of them sometimes just decide to be really stupid about other things anyway, and I don't get it. Like when creationists are like, oh, we got to make sure we can't call birds dinosaurs. It's like, why not? It's the same as calling a whale a mammal, and you do that just fine. What do you care? It's like, no, it's given into the evolutionists. Like, is it? I don't see how it's more giving into the evolutionists than accepting that whales are mammals is. Right? You don't have to believe that all mammals were created as like an original pair of mammals by God, because you don't think that. You just can think the same thing about dinosaurs, which they also already do. They're just dumb about it for no reason, and I do not get it.
No, it's pretty smart.
Oh, wait. Olivia Williams, purple. Why does it keep going? Your name is too long, Olivia Williams. I can't see it on most of my screens. I'm going to go with Olivia Williams right now while I try to figure out why YouTube won't show me the screen that would actually show me that. But says, for $5 Canadian, so beaver bucks here, this raises so many questions. What happens as you lose hair? Which happens all the freaking time? So my guess is that oh no, that's too smart for Kent. My guess is that Kent would just say that God re-indexes your hair. And so every time one hair falls out, he just subtracts 1 from the index of all indices higher from that. And then when a new hair grows in, he gives it the new highest number. That would be my guess as to what Kent would say. Now, that might be giving him a whole lot of credit that he doesn't deserve. And it might be me assuming that my knowledge of indexing is similar to his, which it probably is much, much higher since I actually use indices a lot. Because Blender indexes everything. So, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's my guess as to what he would say, but that's informed by me knowing what the heck I'm talking about, whereas he does not. So, yeah, who knows? It's very hard to get inside the mind of someone as, like, intentionally dumb as Kent Hovind, right? Because, like, I know what I would do to maintain certain really stupid beliefs. But that doesn't mean he would, because that's what I would do if me, being a reasonably smart and reasonably honest person, had to maintain a certain stupid belief. That doesn't mean Kent would do it, because Kent is definitely dumber than he has to be. So yeah, I don't know.
Been estimated there are enough stars in the sky right now that we've discovered
Okay.
that everybody on Earth can personally own 2 trillion of them.
Well, there you go, guys. That's one of our most classic instances of big number, therefore God. I don't know how that's supposed to mean anything to anyone. I don't know why it is that if there were no God, there would be fewer stars, is an argument that he seems to think is reasonable. Actually, to me, it seems the other way around, right? Like, because the Bible says that God made the stars for the seasons and for calendars and whatnot, right? So what that means to me, at least, is that God creates stars so that humans can see them, so that they can then use astronomy to track the years and, like, when to harvest, when to sow, when to do all that kind of stuff, right? That human civilization kind of centers around, especially in, like, the Iron Age, which is when most of the Bible is written. But if that's the case, then what the heck is the point of all these, like, distant galaxies and stars that no human could see without a telescope, which is not being used for signs and seasons and to keep the calendar? So it seems to me like if I were a biblical literalist, I would predict that there would be no stars that were not reasonably, that, like, a human could not see with any reasonable accuracy with the naked eye. That would make sense to me. I get that young Earth creationists are like, well, it shows God's majesty. I'm like, okay, but to whom? Why? It would be much more convincing to me if the world were in a way that I couldn't imagine it coming about naturally. So actually, honestly, when the flat earthers are like, well, if the earth is flat, it proves God. I don't think it proves God, but it would be pretty hard for me to assume that the world wasn't made by God if the earth were flat, right? So, like, I don't know. It's an argument that has never made sense to me. Now, I don't think that there being lots of stars means that there isn't a God. I don't know that you could make that argument. But yeah, the idea that, like, so many stars, therefore God, that has never seemed like a decent argument to me.
Plenty to go around.
Okay.
The Hubble telescope was directed to focus in on a dot.
He didn't even make an argument. Wait, Kent, tell me why that's an argument. I'm having to make the arguments for him.
They thought they found a black spot in space, no stars, right above the Big Dipper. It's about the size of a grain of rice held at arm's length, a grain of sand held at arm's length.
Okay. I really don't know where he's going with this.
Pretty tiny spot. The Hubble,
I'm pretty sure this is the Hubble Deep Field. Is that a good? Is like he describing the Hubble Deep
I
Field?
think that's what it sounds like, yeah.
Okay. The Hubble Deep Field, in case you don't know, is a pretty famous picture of a very small part of the sky that shows a very large number of galaxies. Which it's a very cool picture. I don't know how it's supposed to help Kent, but it is a very cool picture.
because of the way it was positioned going around the Earth, it was able, even though it's going around the Earth, it was able at all times to focus on that spot.
Is Hubble in a circumpolar orbit? Because I feel like it's not, but I don't actually know for certain what the orbit of the Hubble Space Telescope is. I feel like it's not circumpolar.
I don't think it is.
All right.
Continuously. You know, we can only see the stars a couple hours a night, then they're gone in the daylight.
Kent, night isn't 2 hours long in most of the world. Just putting that out there. Most of the world doesn't have 2 hour nights, but sure, whatever.
The Hubble was going around in such a position it could focus on that spot continually.
Galileus Galilei for 100 Argentinian pesos says, God also shows his majesty in all the aliens Ellen White saw in her visions. Did you think about that? No, you only think about yourself. Yeah, that's actually something I learned only fairly recently about Seventh-day Adventist theology, is that they believe that only Earth fell in terms of like the fall in Genesis, and that there are all sorts of inhabited worlds full of people that never fell, and that Earth is like the best reality TV show that they're ever seeing, because they're like, oh, look, God's salvation and mercy is playing out right there on Earth. And like they're, I guess, cheering the humans on Earth on or something. I'm not really sure about that, but like, yeah, it's Seventh-day Adventism is like a weird rabbit hole that I've never really dug all the way down into. But every time I kind of dig a little bit deeper, it just gets weirder, and I don't know what the deal is there. I guess they're just weird. I do remember when I was the church that my parents took us to, we had like a retreat, but it was at, like, they rented out a Seventh-day Adventist compound. Well, I don't want to say compound, because it wasn't like, you know, they were keeping people hostage there or something. It was like a campground that was owned by a Seventh-day Adventist group that you could rent. But when you rented it, you had to follow certain rules that they set. And the one that affected us was that you couldn't play ball games. You couldn't play with like any sports games or anything. Like you couldn't throw around a basketball or a football or anything on Saturday, because they were keeping the Sabbath, and playing with a football is against the rules, I guess. And so they were like, okay, kids, on Saturday, make sure you don't go outside and play with any of the sports equipment, because you're not allowed to. We'll get kicked out. And I asked why. And it was a Seventh-day Adventist thing. It's the Sabbath. I was like, okay, sure, whatever. I don't care. I mean, you might not know this about me, but I wasn't like huge into playing football or basketball anyway, so I didn't really care. But it was weird. Let's see. Olivia Williams, Purple Fairy for 10 beaver bucks says, I made the argument sometimes if the God of the Bible made the universe, he just to have a relationship with humans, the universe would have more in common with a snow globe than anything else. Ghidorah. Yeah, I mean, that seems to make sense. I mean, the obvious counterpoint that I would say is, if I were trying to argue against your argument, which I'm not, but like devil's advocate here, is I would say, well, God wants to have a relationship with humans, but that doesn't have to be exclusive. There could be other things out there that he also wants to have a relationship with, and he doesn't tell us about those things because they're not important to our relationship with him. We don't need to know that because it's never going to come up. I don't know. That's what I would argue if I had to argue the contrary. But there, I just took a drink for the Ghidorah, and we'll increment the drink counter. All right, here we go.
After 10 days, they discovered there are more stars in that spot than they could count.
Well, that's not the Hubble Deep Field. And yeah, I don't know what that is. It looks like it's a picture of a globular cluster, doesn't it?
If I had to guess, I would say so.
Okay. But anyway, the Hubble Deep Field actually doesn't show individual stars. It shows a bunch of galaxies. I think there might be 1 or 2 individual stars, but it's primarily a bunch of galaxies. All the little dots are galaxies. But okay, sure. I don't know. Like, I don't know what to do with this. Like, yes, Kent, there are a lot of stars. I don't know of anyone who contests this.
These are ones they didn't know about before, plus the ones they already know about.
Okay.
Right. They say there are billions, if not trillions, of galaxies, and each galaxy contains trillions of stars.
Okay. I would really like for this to matter to something that Kent believes.
And each star contains how many atoms? Bunch, right?
Sure.
Stephen
I mean, less as time goes on for each individual star, but, you know, whatever.
Hawking, who hates creationists, said, "Stars are so far away that they appear to us to be just pinpoints of light. We cannot see their size or shape. So how can we tell different types of stars apart? For the vast majority of stars, there's only one characteristic feature we can observe: the color of their light."
Yeah. Guys, are we going to get... Is he going to get to a point ever?
I hope so.
Okay. Because, I mean, this hasn't been wrong. I just also don't get why it's important, why we should care.
When you get the biggest telescope in the world
Okay.
and look at the closest star, all you see is a dot.
Yeah.
When we look at
Also, that's not the closest star, but whatever.
stars through a telescope, you just see nothing but a dot.
Uh-huh.
Biggest telescope still sees just a dot.
Okay, these are true things. I'm going
If
to
you
take
look
a
at the
drink.
sun through a telescope, you see flames leaping off, and you can see all sorts of features on the sun, the spicules on the surface.
I'm sorry, did Kent just say that there are flames leaping off of the sun?
Yes, he did.
Did we just find out where Matt Powell got the idea that the sun is on fire and it needs oxygen? I'm taking a drink for you can see flames leaping off of the sun. Hey guys, here's a fun fact. The sun isn't on fire. That's not how it works. Well, for one thing, I ran out of beer. So let's just put that there. Hubble's orbital inclination is about 28 degrees, says Baboton, which is not at all 90-ish degrees, which is what you need for a circumpolar orbit. So, sorry, Kent, you got it wrong that Hubble's on a circumpolar orbit, which I don't know why you would think that in the first place, but, like, whatever.
There's no way Kent understands orbits.
That's true. You think Kent has ever played Kerbal Space Program?
He could learn a lot if he did.
He could.
Well, theoretically, he could, but
You think he'd
I
have
don't know
trouble
if he
even
would.
getting to orbit?
I don't know if he would learn much.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to read a, let's see. Oh, no, we don't have another super chat. I was just looking, and it looks like we've got all of them so far. So we're going to actually take a quick early break because I'm going to get myself another beer. A cold beer, if you will. And we will be back in just a few minutes. So please stick with us. And if you don't, I'll send Kent to go find out why not. All right, we'll be right back. Next time on Star Trek Endurance.
Security Officer's Log, Stardate 60672.8. The Kongzi is docked at Narendra Station for secondary warp core replacement, after we ejected it in an attempt to save the USS Ontario. I have been temporarily assigned to station security by Admiral Herbert. Apparently there has been a theft from a locker in one of the archaeology labs. Some typical artifacts from Alpha Tauri 2 have been stolen and I am in charge of the investigation. Of course, the captain has made the crew of the Kongzi available to assist me and the Admiral, and she is anticipating the new warp core will be operational in a matter of hours. The theft of such important artifacts directly from under the noses of both Starfleet and the Klingon Defense Force is troubling. Hopefully, I can get to the bottom of this and the culprits will be brought to justice. Ideally, including the return of the artifacts. Typical technology is extremely dangerous, and having it in the wrong hands could spell disaster for the sector.
Discovering the identity of the culprit does not prove to be particularly difficult for a security officer as skilled as Tech, but finding them out in the Shackleton Expanse is another matter. If they find the perpetrator, that will be the least of their worries, as the stolen technology proves to be as dangerous as Tech feared, and it is most certainly in the wrong hands. Can the crew catch up with the thief and recover the artifacts before disaster strikes? Find out next time in The Orion Heist, only on the Top Hats Off channel. are back. Thank you for sticking with me. All those of you who did, which looks like we only lost 6 viewers, but come on, everybody. I forgot to hold the microphone again. I'll take another drink for Dapper's a professional. Darn it. I blame Chesh. Chesh is definitely to blame. Mark Rose for $1.99 says Kent saw his pants instead of the sun. Yeah, that does sound like something that would be more likely on fire. Is Kent's pants. That's fair. All right. So, for another $5, Metageeky Platypus Librarian says, laundry has been folded. The tube socks in the drawer made me think of AIG, although their tubes are far dirtier and slimy. Night with a Godzilla and a disgusting pelagic tunicate, but I do appreciate it anyway, and we will take a drink. Thank you very much. This is the quick commercial part. And I want to say a couple things. One is, guys, this channel has been pretty great for me, right? The fact that I can do this, that it pays the bills, and that I can provide you guys with what I like to call infotainment, if you will. But also, you know, like there's important stuff going on here. You know, we've come together to help people in need, like we're helping Vishanti. We've helped other people, like we helped someone in chat, or well, someone in the audience's I believe their parents get new appliances that they couldn't afford, like a new refrigerator. We've helped with vet bills for a few different animals. We've helped Bent get a car fixed, you know. And also you guys make it so that I can keep doing this, getting you guys 3 shows a week without fail, unless, you know, YouTube decides to give me a fake community guideline strike that they later reverse but don't give me any money for. So yeah, other than that little hiccup, we've been doing 3 shows a week for years. Even when I wasn't here because I went to go to a family wedding, we still had 3 shows that week. So, if you are a fan of what we do here, if you want to see that keep going for as long as humanly possible, then please consider, either, you know, doing super chats, gifting memberships here, or getting yourself a membership, or going over to the Patreon. The Patreon starts at $1 a month. The memberships start at $1.99. They both give you access to my Discord server that's just for supporters. They both give you early access. I think it's usually around like 5 months worth of early access to videos. You get there are more perks at higher tiers. As a member, you get access to the channel emojis and stuff like that. So like there's a lot of incentives. I try to make it really worth your while if you decide to toss me a buck. And of course there are higher tiers. There's also a merch store below this video. You can go buy a t-shirt or a mug or something with me on it. I'll be honest, I don't get a lot of money from that, but it is always fun when someone's like, oh, hey, I got my Dapper Dinosaur mug, and like there's a picture of them holding the mug or something. That's a lot of fun for me. There's also Bent has a Patreon if you want to help support Bent. There's also wish lists for both of us on Amazon. Now, I know Amazon, not a particularly great company, and I can't boycott everyone. I literally can't actually do it. If I were to not do business with all the businesses that don't deserve my money, I would just starve. So, if you can hold your nose and you want to get me something on Amazon, it's much appreciated. Most of the stuff on there is basically just to give me like dopamine hits when it comes, and I get to use it. Some of it's practical. Like there's a new webcam because my webcam is getting kind of old and picture quality isn't what it could be. There's also some books on there, but there's also just some fun stuff like snacks and like Warhammer models and stuff like that. So, yeah, you can do that. And whether or not you can afford to, because I certainly don't want you to get me anything, whether it be a pledge or a gift or anything, if you can't afford it, but whether or not you can, liking this show, hitting the like button, sharing it, leaving comments on my videos, all that stuff really, really helps because, it's not much of a secret that YouTube has made some change, and no one's really sure exactly what it is. In fact, I doubt even YouTube knows. But a lot of channels are down in their stats, and that includes me. In fact, just recently, I heard Emma Thorne say that it was happening to her too. So, really, 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 if you could share the videos and like the videos and comment on the videos from creators that you like, it is a huge help because YouTube has decided apparently that they're going to make it harder than ever to grow a channel, which sucks. So there you go. I also want to point out that we are at $4,309 on Vishanti's fundraiser, so thank you so much to everyone there. We've had 51 contributions over, and there are 32 days left. And towards the end of this, I'm going to be doing some announcements about upcoming stuff that is supposed to help with that. So we're going to hit play on Kent, and we're going to continue on, and yeah.
And, you know, it looks like oatmeal, boiling oatmeal. But you don't see that with a star.
What's the thing that looks like boiling? Oh, the sun. The sun looks like boiling oatmeal. Not how I would describe it, but like whatever, fine. I don't care. I think he's talking about the convection cells that you can see at the surface, like the photosphere of the sun.
Even still, I don't think that's boiling oatmeal.
I don't either, but like,
I don't think it looks like that, but like,
look, I'm not going to
maybe I should boil more oatmeal.
Maybe. I mean, you have some.
I do.
For me, it's one of those things where it's just like, I'm not going to judge his aesthetic comparison of oatmeal. I don't think it's right, but like, whatever.
People say the sun is just a medium-sized star.
I mean, depends on what you mean. If you mean like, if we just take a look at the entire main sequence of like, just put the size ranges on like a number line, then yeah, sure, it's somewhere around the middle of the pack. If you say like number of stars, it's actually much larger than most stars. Most stars are significantly smaller than the sun. The sun is gigantic compared to the average star in the galaxy, but it's far from the biggest star, not even close, whether by mass or by radius. So like, I don't know. It depends on how you want to count it.
Maybe it is, I don't know. But we don't even have a clue what the other stars really actually look like.
We do. We actually do, because physics is hold on, let me double check. Bent, is physics a thing?
It sure is.
Okay, I wanted to make sure. Yeah, Kent,
Yeah.
physics is a thing. So we know by looking at things like emission lines, absorption lines, stellar spectra, things like that, what energy the sun is or a star is giving off, and we know what it takes to produce that particular kind and frequencies and spectral bands and whatnot from a star. And so unless you want to just say that physics is fake, Kent, we do know what stars are, what they would look like if you could get close to them. We can even see how big they are generally. We can do things like compare their apparent brightness to measures of absolute brightness by getting distances via things like parallax or standard candles. We can compare their spectra and figure out, like, hey, what is physically possible for the range of size and mass for this object. And if you want to say that that's all just made up, Kent, then you're going to have to show why the physics is wrong. You have to sit there with equations and experiments. And good luck. Good luck, Kent. I wish you well on that journey to disprove all of physics. So far, he has not made a whole lot of progress. In part for lack of trying. But then again, I feel like if he tried, he still wouldn't make any progress. So I guess his lack of progress is regardless of his effort. So anyway.
Other than their color. Now,
he thinks that their color is just one datum, right? He does not realize that a stellar spectrum is a whole lot of things. You can look at various, like I said, bands in the spectrum. You can look at, like, is there a bimodal distribution for some reason, in which case there's probably something between you and the star. Like, there's a lot of stuff you can tell by actually looking at a stellar spectrum. I did it when I was in school, right? One of the science courses I took was astronomy. And I sat there with example stellar spectra and had to match them to various stellar types, right? I've seen what a stellar spectrum looks like. It's not just, well, this one is fuchsia. No, that's not what a stellar spectrum is. And, like, I'm sorry that Kent is too dumb to figure out that when, what was it, Hawking said that all we can tell is their color, that he just thought that that meant, like, you know, what RGB intensities you would use to display them on a screen as a single point. But that's not what we have. We have a lot more than that when it comes to their, quote, color.
when they study the star light coming in, they can tell certain things about it, what kind of metals are burning. You know, if you burn a piece of copper in a hot flame, it'll burn green.
I'm gonna take a drink, Bent.
I don't blame you.
Kent thinks that metallicity, apparently, this is what this is all I can get from this, is that Kent thinks that the metallicity of a star tells you which metals are on fire in a star, which I I don't even know what to say to that. That's I, I need another drink. What? God. Okay.
It'll be okay.
No, it won't. No, nothing will ever be okay
Eventually.
again. Nope.
Oh, maybe you're right.
No.
It
no,
won't be okay.
It won't be. For the rest of my life, for however long that is, I'm going to be scarred by this very moment. This moment is going to scar me. Okay. Nothing in a star is on fire. Metallicity refers to anything heavier than helium, not just what you normally think of metals. And it refers to how much of a star is made of elements heavier than helium, which could include copper, but it could also include carbon and beryllium and boron and silicon and, you know, all those other elements that are on the table that are bigger than 2, which many of which are not metals, but just like astronomers are like, pi, 0. We'll just set it to 1. We'll set it to 1. It's fine. We'll just say pi is 1. Just like with that, their definition for metal is much more expansive than that of a chemist. Just like their definition for ice is also a bit more expansive than what most of you think of, right? Because they would be like, oh, methane, that's nice. Carbon dioxide, that's nice. Water, that's nice. I don't normally think of methane as an ice. I don't know. Do you, Bent?
I don't really think about it.
Okay, but if I said, oh, hey, did you know that farts are made of ice? You'd probably be like, I don't think that's true.
No, I would say probably not.
Yeah.
But
To an astronomer, it's true, though.
I guess.
Yeah. So, like, and the thing that bugs me the most is Kent is this dumb. Kent thinks that stars could be green because they're burning copper. Which, first, there are no green stars, and they don't burn things in the sense of setting them on fire, right, either. But, like, he thinks that, and also thinks that he is smarter and better informed than every actual scientist in the world. And I'm sorry, I don't have, oh my goodness, that was a decimal point error. Dapper is a professional here on this one. So ignore that. We are not at 1,588%. That is not true. We are at 71%. And I will take a drink for Dapper's a professional on that one. Sorry about that. I mean, on the other hand, if you guys did want to send me, you know, $7,500, no, I would actually probably complain about that. That's way too much to send me. I'm just a guy who talks on the internet. I don't deserve that much.
Different colors burn, different metals burn different colors. So if you want fireworks for 4th of July and you want them to blow up and be, you know, red, you put in a certain metal. If you want them to be green.
Also, we just got another $20 on the fundraiser. Thank you very much.
Or yellow, you can make different colors by grinding up metals, mixing them in with whatever's exploding.
Okay.
They look at these stars and all you see.
Kent, did you... God damn it. Finish a thought, Kent. Go from A to therefore. Get the therefore in your syllogism. Jeez. This is very... I was not this bad. It was not this bad last month, was it? No, okay.
No, it really wasn't.
All right. That's what I thought. This is going to kill me.
Ouch.
Yeah, I might be dead after this, everyone. Sorry.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Naram puts for $2 says $7,500. Thank you very much for the $2 where you say $7,500. There actually are numbers that I would be uncomfortable receiving. Like if someone was like, "Hey, Dapper, here's $50,000," I'd be like, "For what? What could I possibly do that you think is worth giving me that much money?" No, stop it. Give that to like a food bank or something, or like maybe I don't know, give most of it to a food bank, a little bit to me. I don't know. There are definitely amounts that I would be very uncomfortable just accepting.
Sees a dot. How do you tell the distance to something like that?
Well, there's another number of ways. One is if you have a way to know how bright it is in an absolute sense, regardless of distance, you could then use the inverse square law to figure out how far away it is. He's showing us parallax. That's another way. There's also, if you notice a consistent thing like, say, maybe redshift that always, every time you can measure it, correlates to distance, you could use the redshift to estimate distance in objects whose absolute or intrinsic brightness you don't know, but you could base their distance calculations on the redshift. In fact, that's so reliable that for very, very distant objects, astronomers don't even actually use units of like length to describe how far away they are. They just use the redshift. Because after a certain point, it kind of doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to talk about how far away things are, since we're looking into the past, but also, what counts as the present moment is complicated in things like relativity. So they just use redshifts to describe extremely distant objects. So yeah, there's a number of ways. But I'll guess that the only way Kent is going to accept is trigonometry.
How far away is it? Well, the way to tell the distance to an unknown object, some object you cannot touch, is to use trigonometry.
Mm-hmm. It's a way, Kent, but yes, it is a way. True.
If you get 2 observation points, focusing in on a third dot, you can calculate the unknown distance if you know the distance between your 2 observation points and you know the angles with simple high school trig, sine, cosine, tangent.
Mm-hmm. That's true. We'll take a drink. Good job, Kent. You are right about what trigonometry is. All right, Ben, we're going to have to give you the one part of the flat earth litmus test, right? Okay, Bent.
Oh no.
If I have a triangle with side lengths 1, 1, and 1, what is the value of the internal angles? How wide are they?
Of all of them combined?
No, of each one individually.
I think 60.
What about the other 2?
60 and 60.
All right, good job. Bent is smarter than the
Yes.
average Flurf. You did it. What if I say...
I was worried.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Could you do it for other shapes?
Maybe.
Like, what if I said I had a septagon?
Let's not worry about that.
All right, we're gonna worry about it anyway, just because you don't want to. All right, so here's the rule, right? It's n minus 2 times 180 degrees to figure out how many angles there are, or how much the sum of all the angles is, right? So if you have a septagon, that's 7 minus 2 is 5 times 180, right? So that's 900 degrees across all the angles. So then we just divide that number by the number of angles, and we get that each internal angle is 128.57142857142886-ish degrees. So there you go. That's how you do it. N minus 2 times 180 gives you the sum total of the internal angles of a regular polygon. So...
I'll try and remember that for next time.
Or no, it's just a convex polygon. I don't think it actually has to be regular. I think it just has to be convex. Anyway, here we go.
If you want to know the distance across a river, you stand one spot on the bank of the river, look at a tree, make a line, imaginary line, go down to another place and look at the same tree and make a triangle, measure the distance between your 2 observations and get the angles. You can calculate the distance across the river.
Okay.
Real accurately, depending how accurate your measurements are. Well, the problem is, the Earth is only 8,000 miles in diameter. 8,000 miles is really nothing compared to star distance. So if I'm looking at a star here in Florida, somebody on the opposite side of the world in China is looking at...
Did I mix up Latin and Greek when I said septagon? It should have been heptagon. F. Dapper's a professional. Take a drink. I suck at this. You know what, though? Why do we have to name every kind of shape in, like, different languages? Call it a sevengon, right? Actually, that is often what happens with really high numbers.
the star. Actually, the opposite side's down south of the equator, 30 degrees, be the middle of the Indian Ocean.
Hey,
opposite from Pensacola's in the ocean over here. The opposite through the northern hemisphere would be China, but opposite through the world is actually Indian Ocean. Who cares? Anyway.
Yeah, that's a great question, Kent. I was wondering it myself. I've been wondering it for a while now. Oh, man.
It's 8,000 miles across the Earth.
Okay.
If two people on opposite sides of the world are looking at the same star, they basically have two parallel lines, because 8,000 miles just doesn't count. What they've done to enlarge the base on the triangle, you look at the star in January, you wait 6 months, look at the star in June, and now you have a much bigger base on your triangle. You have a huge circle with Earth's orbit around the sun.
I mean, it's an ellipse, but whatever. We know how big it is, so it doesn't matter.
This, of course, is assuming the heliocentric position, that the sun is in the center of the solar system.
Is Kent about to go geocentrist? Is that what's about to happen?
He kind of alluded to that earlier when he said the Earth was made before the stars. So I'm wondering if he might be.
Okay. Wow. That would be something. I'll say that. That would certainly be something. Okay.
There are still a surprising number of people who are geocentrists who think the Earth is in the center.
Are you one of them, Kent?
There is still a surprising argument out there, and there are some amazing points to be made for both sides.
I'm sorry. Kent, could you tell me one of the amazing points for geocentrism? What is happening right now? I'm taking a drink for there are many amazing points on both sides of the geocentrist debate, Kent.
Is this really happening right now?
It is. Kent is at best agnostic about whether the sun or the Earth is the center of the solar system. What the hell? I was not expecting this. This is not. Remember that time that Kent said something that implied he didn't believe that rain was a thing? This is similar to that. Yeah. This is oh my god. There's a big part of me that wants to call Kent right now and say, "Hey Kent, what are the good arguments for geocentrism?" I'm not going to because it's like super late and like it feels like harassment. And I don't want to get in trouble for harassment, frankly. Not that I feel like Kent would actually try to sue me in a real court, because he probably tried to sue me in a sovereign citizen court like he tried to sue Eric Hovind in. But yeah. And this is something I've said a few times. You can actually successfully sue someone in a sovereign citizen court after they agree to be bound by the decisions of the sovereign citizen court, because at that point, it's just an arbitration service, and you can agree to be bound by arbitration. In fact, many of the EULAs that you haven't read include arbitration clauses. That's why Disney tried to say that one guy whose wife they murdered couldn't sue them, because he once signed up for Disney Plus, and that included an arbitration clause. To be fair, they backed down on that, but only after basically the entire world was like, dude, come on. What the? Fill in the blank, because we haven't hit that 30 super chats yet.
Not okay.
Yeah.
I don't have the answer. I currently am still in the heliocentric position. I think the sun is the center.
Okay, but you've got serious doubts about this, Kent?
And the Earth goes around the sun.
Okay.
But I've heard some good arguments for the geocentric position.
Kent, you can't just say that, dude. You have to tell me what they are. What is a single compelling argument for geocentrism? I want to know. Is it just I look up and it looks like things go around me? Is that it? Is that the whole thing? Because it's the only thing I can find. I'm taking a drink for there's some great arguments for geocentrism. My goodness.
It'd be a good quiz question. Geocentric means Earth center. Heliocentric means sun center. Helio means sun.
I mean, it's a good question if you don't know any Greek, I suppose. But just learn a little bit of Greek. It's actually really important if you want to do science or medicine stuff to learn a little bit of Greek and a little bit of Latin. Like, it'll take you a long way if you just know some basic vocab for both of those languages.
93 million miles from the Earth to the sun.
Well, maybe. Who knows? Maybe it's not that, because maybe geocentrism is true.
Or from the sun to the Earth. It'll be the same either way. It takes light 8 minutes to get that far.
Hey, that's
true. Called one astronomical unit, abbreviated AU. The Earth is 1 astronomical unit away from the sun.
Yep.
Mars is 1.5.
Well, okay, it's 1 on average. Its mean orbital radius is 1 AU. The Earth is actually very rarely exactly 1 AU away from the sun. It's only that at like 2 points during its orbit. And those are like instants. But like, it's not that much of an elliptical orbit, so it's pretty close to 1 AU the whole time. But whatever. 1 AU is defined by the mean orbital radius of Earth. So I'm not going to say that Kent's being dumb here. I'm just giving a little bit more detail than he is. Because I don't think he's saying this incorrectly.
Pluto is 39.
Sure, I don't remember all the numbers, but whatever, I'll take his word for it. I don't care.
So if you want to measure the distance from Pluto to the sun, instead of giving it to you in miles, which would be some giant number, I could give it to you in inches, would be an even bigger number, and it wouldn't matter. Your brain couldn't work with that. But 39 astronomical units, that'll register.
Yeah, Kent, it's almost like that's why those things were invented, but okay.
Mercury is 0.36, I believe. Venus is 0.7. Earth is 1. Mars is 1.5. Jupiter is 5. Saturn is 9. I used to know them all. I had my kids memorize them for science class.
Why? Oh, right, I forgot. Kent, that's what Kent thinks science is, right? Kent thinks that
Trivia.
science is a bunch of trivia, exactly. He doesn't realize that it's things like empiricism and like hypothesis testing and statistical analysis and things like that, right? 39.5 to Pluto, says Zerolon. Thank you very much. Yeah, Kent just thinks it's a bunch of little tiny trivia bits, right? Like, oh, if you know the distance from the sun to each individual planet, now you know astronomy. No. Same thing that happens with history, right? I got a history degree. Do you know how many dates I had to remember for my history degree?
Hopefully not too many.
I don't remember ever actually being asked for a date on any examination or anything like that in my entire time getting a history degree. Because that's the kind of thing that people who don't know anything about what history is like to memorize. They're like, oh, the Battle of Hastings was in this date, 1066, and the Battle of Midway was on this date in 1943, I think? I don't know. Again, didn't remember all the dates. But that's because what history actually is, just like with science, isn't just memorizing a bunch of stupid trivia. It's understanding the process, figuring out how we make arguments for different positions, how to test whether or not some position is true or not, whether it's supported by the evidence. It's not just a bunch of dates or distances that you memorize. If that's all you do, if that's what you think history or science is, you don't know anything about science or history. You just know some trivia stuff. And sure, maybe that'll help you out on Jeopardy someday, but it won't let you understand the world around you.
Who cares? Anyway, the distance from the sun to the earth is 8 light minutes. So what would be the diameter of our orbit around the sun?
Okay, Bent, quick geometry quiz. If the radius is 8 light minutes, what's the diameter?
16 light minutes.
Woo! Bent knows what a circle is.
Kind of.
Well, you know that the diameter is 2 times the radius.
That I do remember.
All right.
16 light minutes.
Hey, Eric knows too. Good job, Eric.
Right? So
Does it change?
it changes insignificantly.
Yeah, I'm with Kent on that. The difference between whichever 2 points on 6 months apart you choose is pretty negligible. Whatever. I mean, if you're actually doing the calculation, you need to know the actual distance as closely as you can. But for this level of explanation, yeah, who cares?
And the diameter of the sun, even though the sun is massive, 880,000 miles, doesn't even count. It takes about 4 seconds for light to go from one side of the sun to the other.
Okay. I know that not everyone knows this. And to be fair, most people don't have a reason to know this. But in astronomy, we don't measure from the surface of the sun or the earth or whatever else to the surface of other bodies when we're talking about their distances. We measure from the centers when we give 1 AU. That's from the center of the sun to the center of Earth. The reason we do that is because we have a much better... One, we usually calculate gravity as originating from the center as a point because it's much, much simpler, and it usually doesn't make a difference. Two, it's actually easier to define where the center point is than it is to try to figure out distances to surfaces, because surfaces tend to be bumpy and stupid. And also, we usually don't actually care about the radius of an object in space, because for the most part, all that really matters is how much light it either gives off or reflects, and how distant it is in terms of treating it like a point. So when we say the distance from the sun to the Earth, we don't take into account whatever the radius of the sun is, which I don't know if it's 4 light seconds. I don't really care. But yeah, that's not how those distances work, Kent. We go from center to center. I just realized something. Kent would cheat at Warhammer. He'd be the guy that would measure from the front of his base to the back of the base when moving his guys across the table. Kent would be a Warhammer cheater. I hate that. I've seen people do that in games. I've played against people who do that in games, and I'm like, no, man.
Not okay.
Yeah, you just gave yourself an extra 30 centimeters of movement. No. Kent would be a Warhammer cheater, I guarantee it. Olivia Williams, Purple Fairy for $6.99 Beaver Bucks says, it's weird how much dates I have. What do you mean how many? Yeah, okay. It's weird how many dates I had to memorize for exams in school as a teen. Yeah, it is weird, and people should stop doing that. If you're asking your students in high school to memorize a bunch of dates, you're not helping them understand history. You're just filling their heads with a bunch of useless trivia. Please stop if you're a history professor or teacher. Now, I get it. Maybe your local state or province or county or whatever, parish, I don't know, has requirements that kids learn certain dates. And if that's the case, okay, fine, teach them those dates. But please don't make them learn any other dates. It's stupid and pointless. No one needs to know a bunch of dates from history. Now, rough time periods, sure. You should be able to know that 1582 isn't the Bronze Age. And that's 1582 CE, right? But and that I don't know, 1711 is part of the modern period. Yeah, you should probably know those things. But the idea that you need to know the exact dates for when was this charter signed or when was this battle fought? Who cares? That's the kind of thing a professional historian looks up, not the kind of thing he carries around in his head, with the exception of a few dates, right? Because they just come up a lot, so you memorize them. But those are dates that you didn't sit down to memorize. You just know them because they come up a lot.
At the speed of light. So that 4 seconds, the diameter of the sun would be insignificant.
Hold on. Zerlon says, when I first started playing a tournament, opponent was not rolling all the weapon options. Instead, he just the ones they built. I am not sure I follow the context there. I might need you to explain that further.
Compared to the 8 minutes, roughly 8 minutes for the light to get here. So if the sun blew up, disappeared. We would not know it for 8 minutes.
Yeah, more or less.
Another
blowing up and disappearing are very different things, but whatever, I don't care.
Phenomena, as the sun is going down, the Earth's atmosphere acts like a lens and bends the light. We can actually see the sun after it's gone.
It depends on the index of refraction. It can actually also cause the sun to be invisible before it should be, if you were just using plain geometry with no refraction. But usually it means it sticks around longer.
Technically, it's already below the horizon.
No, the horizon is a visual artifact, Kent. It's not a physical thing. The horizon is only ever apparent because light is always being refracted through the atmosphere. So unless you're on the moon or something, it's always the apparent horizon.
But you can still see it because it's being bent by the atmosphere.
Cool.
Plus you have the 8 minutes that it took the light to get here. So the sun's long gone by the time you see it actually disappear in reality.
Okay.
Probably been gone for 15 minutes. I don't know what it is, but it's some number like that. And who cares?
Oh my God,
okay.
Get to a point.
A year, yes sir.
Is that true in the morning then also, that you would see the light before?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Right. Well, but then it'll probably cancel each other out.
I'm drinking.
Let's assume the bending of the atmosphere gives you 8 minutes advance, but it took 8 minutes to get here.
Right.
So those would cancel each other out, but at night they would add to each other.
By the way, we're really, really close to Bent getting free pizza. I think the number... Oh, wait, no, we're not, because it's at 94. Never mind. Sorry. I think it's at 94 that Bent gets free pizza. Roughly, right? So, sorry. I was thinking about... I don't know. I was just getting math wrong.
Going back before the flood, with the firmament of ice over the Earth would cause a greater refraction and length through the day.
The firmament causes, actually the firmament of ice, if it was ice, would not only lengthen the day for that reason. Carl Baugh's got a good book called The Panorama of Creation.
Carl Baugh has a ice canopy theory in which the ice becomes magnetized, optically clear, but also cloudy liquid metal ice.
Of course.
Oh, also it's rose colored.
Oh, of course, yeah.
I
Why
don't
wouldn't
know
it
if
be?
I need to tell you that Carl Baugh, his model of the firmament, it's not even an idea. It doesn't rise to the level of coherent idea. So, please, if creationists, if you're listening to me, right? I know you're not going to most likely accept most of the things I say. But I want to beg with you, please, do not put any stock into anything Carl Baugh says. There's a reason that he's a pariah among young Earth creationists. And it's because his ideas are so off the wall insane that some of them aren't technically even ideas.
He says the firmament would be fiber optic, where
Which doesn't mean anything. Because fiber optics requires fibers. It's in the name. You don't have any fiber optic fibers, which ice doesn't form, then you don't have a fiber optic firmament. I just taking a drink for fiber optic firmament. Jesus. What do I do with that? What do I do with fiber optic firmament? Those aren't even words that make sense together. What?
Oh, that's hilarious.
Oh. Why? I don't know why. I'm never going to find out why. I'm never going to ask Kent why. No one's ever going to know why Kent is like this. Something broke in his brain.
if a canopy of ice surrounded the Earth, you shine the light on this side, the other side glows like a nightlight.
Does it, Kent? Do you have any experiments with ice to show this? Like, have you ever investigated ice for its light transmission property? Because here's what I'm going to tell you about ice. Ice, if I remember correctly, has an index of refraction of about 1.45. But you know what? IOR lists are easy to find because artists need them a lot, especially 3D artists like me, right? So we're just going to type in IOR ice in Google. Okay, look at this index of refraction list for 3D artists for modeling. Great. I'm going to go Control F, type in ice. I was wrong. It's 1.309. What was I thinking of 1.45? I think that's some certain types of glass. Okay. 1.309, which is actually lower than water, which is like 1.3. Like 1.333. Anyway. Okay, so it's 1.309, which means that you can actually calculate the angle at which water will bend light. Or sorry, ice will bend light, right? Cool. So, what that means is you can actually calculate, would water act as a fiber optic cable or ice if you shine light in it? Would it go all the way around a sphere and come out the other end? No, is the answer. The answer is no. No, it would not. Now, if Kent has other measurements of the index of refraction of ice, or if Carl does, I would love for them to submit those to a peer-reviewed journal. But they haven't. You know why? Because they don't have other measurements of the index of refraction of ice. Because they have never done an experiment. They're just living in make-believe land where they can just make up properties to ice, like fiber optic properties, which doesn't even make any sense. Not say that the ice weighs purple. It makes just as much sense. Who cares? We're just making shit up.
So you cannot ever have total darkness
Solid or even as a liquid or a vapor, it would do that.
as a solid.
As a solid.
Ice as a solid would be fiber optic.
Would it? What possible reason could you have for saying that, Kent, other than Carl Baugh saying so, which is not something that you should take at face value? Also, Hey, did you know that Karl Baugh, as far as I can tell, promoted fraudulent investment opportunities to his not parish, but his flock at the church he ran?
Whoops.
Yeah, he made up his own securities. Guess what they were actually worth?
Nothing?
Yeah. I mean, I guess maybe they were worth a few pennies if you recycled them. But yeah, basically nothing. Mm-hmm. Yep.
He's got a whole list of things that super cold ice at, say, 400 below zero would do.
Okay. Bent. Why does Earth get hot?
Well, there's this star nearby that's
Okay.
radiating heat out,
Okay. So
and it's hitting the Earth.
if I stuck a bunch of not the Earth, but in space near the Earth, and the sun were to hit it, would it be really, really cold, or would the sun heat it up?
I think the sun would heat it up.
Okay. So if I had a sphere of ice sitting where the Earth is, you think it could be a 400 below zero?
No, I think it would actually melt. I
Yeah.
don't know how long it would take, but it would be warm enough to melt.
I mean, it would depend on how much ice there is, I suppose. But yeah, you can't just put something around Earth and have it be minus 400. There's the sun, Kent. The sun exists. I'm taking another drink. What is? Okay, guys, in the chat, this is worse than usual, right? Please tell me. This is astounding.
He says it becomes fiber optic.
Yeah, he says that. No one else says that, Ken. You know why? Because it doesn't.
I can't verify that. I can't prove it or disprove it.
Then why are you repeating it, Kent? Why are you repeating it? Why are you repeating something that Karl Baugh just made up? As if it matters. Why? Why, Kent? Look, I'll say something. Jupiter is in fact made of tapioca. Would you like to repeat that, Kent? You can't prove it. You can't disprove it. I mean, other people can, because they're not idiots, but you can't. Would you like to go spread the word of the tapioca Jupiter, Kent?
Yum.
I mean, yeah, that does sound. I kind of want some tapioca now. Okay, I can do this. We've only got like 20 minutes to go. I can do that. I might not be able to.
I think you can do
He
it.
says it becomes what's he call it? A photo amplifier.
Kent, that requires the input of energy. Where are you getting that energy from? In your minus 400 degree ice? You can't just say it's a photo amplifier and then just ignore the fact that violates the first law of thermodynamics unless you have energy input from somewhere else. Where's the else, Kent? What else is inputting energy into the Earth to make the canopy a photo amplifier? What the fuck? I have taken another drink. Jesus. Oh my God. Worst crossover. Karl Baugh crossing over with Ken Hovind. Jeez. What the... Oh. I have a headache. This gave me a headache.
Oh no,
Yeah.
that's a shame.
Maybe if we get like, I don't know, a bunch more gift memberships, I can finish this beer and go get another one, and that'll help.
You can actually see more clearly. They can see the stars better than we can.
You can see the stars more clearly because the ice canopy is somehow redirecting light from the sun to the night side of the sky, thereby causing unprecedented amounts of light pollution. And somehow that's going to help you see the stars more clearly.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's magic.
Wow. This is... I'm just going to hit play. You guys don't need me to describe to you the fact that if you're looking at a really bright sky, it's harder to see the stars than to not see than if it's a dark sky. You don't need me to explain that to you. None of you are that dumb. Anyone who is watching, all 122 of you are more than smart enough to figure this out. Although I will notice that a whole bunch of you hadn't hit like. So if you could, it would really, really, it would make my day. Because this video is ruining my day. And to be fair, my day wasn't awesome before. It was fine. But that's it. It was just a fine day. Now it's being ruined actively by Kent via Carl Baugh. I was going to say Carl Hovind. Maybe they should get married and Carl can take Hovind's name.
Yeah, maybe.
I think they'd be a cute couple.
Yeah.
Like having a built-in telescope all the time over you. And he said it would actually resonate when the radio waves, stars produce radio waves, when they hit the ice canopy, it would cause it to vibrate.
Why? Why? What about ice vibrates with radio waves? Even antennas don't do that. They don't vibrate when the radio waves hit. It induces voltage, which is read elsewhere. What is happening?
All of this is just such nonsense. It's absurd. It's beyond absurd.
Yes, it is. It is definitely beyond absurd. I don't even have to do anything other than to just tell you. Did you just hear what he said? I don't need to tell you why that's stupid. You all know why that's stupid. You don't need me to correct it. Lieutenant Math Navigator for $10 says, I just got here free taking approximately 700 pounds of the finest Swedish cardboard to the dumpster. I'm going to apply the Hovind method and assume without evidence that it's worse. Okay, that's a lot of pounds of Swedish cardboard. Did you buy a whole bunch of stuff from IKEA? Is that what happened? They're Swedish, right? Come on, Bent.
I've never shopped at IKEA, ever. I've never even been to one.
Ranak, who's been a member for 17 months and is at the amniote level, says, any ice is too much ice, and I agree with you on more than one level. And also, you capitalized ice, so I know what you mean. But then there's a Godzilla and a Ghidorah, so we will take a drink for that. Thank you very much. My goodness, we just got another $100 on the fundraiser. So I think, Bent, that's going to be some free pizza. Yup. And
Awesome.
Bent, guess who's wearing a tutu next month?
Me.
Yep, Bent is wearing a tutu, everybody. So thank you so much to everyone there. Look, guys, I really appreciate it. I think you all know that Vishanti is a big part of the channel. And so is Bent's tutu. So there we go. Lieutenant Matt the Navigator for $5 says, maybe Ken should ask the TENS Egypt guy about how antennas vibrate. Oh, no. I had mostly blocked the existence of that guy out of my brain. The guy who's like really into Eastim and just projects that back into ancient Egypt. And it's like, dude, be into Eastim. I don't care as long as you're safe about it. But like, your kink has nothing to do with the Egyptians. Please stop. Imagine if you decided to do history and archaeology based just on your own personal kinks and turn-ons, and then just assuming that all ancient civilizations had your own same kinks. It's like, oh, are you a foot guy? Guess what? So were the ancient Mesopotamians really into feet. What's the evidence? Well, I'm into feet, so they must have been too. No. Oh, they put feet on some of their murals. Yeah, because humans have feet. Lieutenant Mathanav. Sorry, made myself laugh. Jeez, I'm bad at this. Why do you guys even stick around? Lieutenant Matt the Navigator for $5 says, yes, it was one IKEA's dresser worth. Wasn't actually 700 pounds, but it was 4 trips. Jeez, that's a lot of trips. I'm glad I've never had to dispose of that much cardboard in one go at my residence. I'm pretty sure I've discarded more than that at various jobs and whatnot, but not where I live.
Which changes then a radio wave to a sound wave.
Okay.
And you would hear the songs of the stars, the music of the stars. The Bible
Great.
talks about that.
Okay, so the Bible, which, let's be clear, conceptualizes the stars as sapient creatures that God commands as an army, right? That's what the hosts of heavens means. Host there, that's just a flowery English translation for army, right? And elsewhere in the Bible, you can hear various like prophecies or visions and stuff about the stars being used to fight the enemies of God. So the Bible characterizes the stars as supernatural entities which can fight in wars. And in that context, it says they can sing. Okay. I need you to hear me about this. Stars aren't an army. They don't sing. The Bible's wrong about that. I don't know what that's going to do to your theology. I don't particularly care because your theology isn't my business. But that's how it is. Stars are balls of plasma very far away. They can't sing. They can't fight wars. And God's never going to cast them out of heaven because that doesn't even make sense. These are words that were written by people who didn't know what the universe was like. You should not rely on them for your science, because then you will get stupid things like fiber optic radio antenna ice that makes songs out of radio transmissions from space. None of which means anything. It's all just nonsense. Lieutenant Math Navigator for $2 says, Pharaoh, harder daddy yaman the 7th. Thank you. Thank you, Lieutenant Matt the Navigator, for making me say that. Those were words I definitely wanted to say. Okay. By the way, if you want to save Bent from the tutu, we got to get to 200%, which is not impossible.
Morning stars sang together. What's that talking about?
I just said what it's talking about. You guys know. I wasn't there. I can't tell Kent. But that what I was talking about is what's going on there. It's this Bible not knowing, well, the Bible authors not knowing what stars are. That's it. They were wrong about what stars are. Just like they're wrong about how to get stripy cattle. You can't get stripy cattle by mating cattle near stripy sticks. It doesn't work. No big deal. I don't care. It doesn't really affect my reading of the Bible to realize that the Bible's wrong about genetics or stars or astronomy in general or cosmology. I don't really care. I still read the Bible sometimes. I just don't do it to figure out science or math or history even really. Although there are plenty of parts of the Bible that are reasonably historical. Whatever, you get it. Joshua Geese for $5 says, counterpoint, stars either do Gregorian chants or sing barbershop quartet music. You know, he did say it. But you didn't say God said it, so I don't believe you, Joshua Geese. You have to first say, thus saith the Lord, or something equivalent, and then I will believe you. Because anyone who ever prefaces anything with thus saith the Lord can't be lying. God told him to say that.
Well, it sure preaches good. I can't prove any of it, okay?
Okay. If any of your criteria for ever talking about anything is that it preaches good, you shouldn't be a preacher. You should care more about things like truth and integrity and your congregants than to just say whatever nonsense comes to mind if it sounds good. Because it preaches good. It just equals it sounds good. It's rhetorically useful to me. Please, anyone who's watching this, care more about truth than that. It's not that hard to do. Care a little bit more about truth than that. I don't think I'm making a big ask.
Or is it angels, morning stars sang together? Yeah, good point.
Well, it's not that either, because the category of angels wasn't really established in the Bible until well after the Psalms were written. Because angel just comes from a Greek word that means messenger. And while the Septuagint has a lot of things that might count as angels, and there are different places in the Bible where the word angel was added to the Hebrew and then later translated into the Septuagint, that being a particular class of like divine beings, not super a thing until much, much later than the Psalms. So yeah, we're talking like Hellenistic period Judaism is where a lot of this stuff starts getting like codified. And that's why you find a lot of it in the New Testament. But that's not what's going on in the Old Testament or the Hebrew Scriptures. Whatever.
Angels are often called the sons of God.
Nope. That's just other gods, Ken. I'm sorry, but the Bible is not a monotheistic text. When the Bible says the sons of God, what it usually says is something like the sons of Elyon or just El. And that's a reference to the ancient Canaanite high deity who was said to be the sort of patriarch of the rest of the gods, whose wife was Asherah. And then later on, as the god of the Israelites in Israelite culture starts to take precedence over the high god, they start to be conflated and sometimes the Bible will refer to them both with the highest title Elyon. But generally, no. When the Bible refers to the sons of the God, it means the 70 sons of the high God El, who divide up the nations between them, which is also why the Table of Nations in Genesis has 70 entries. These are things that you could know if you, like, I don't know, looked into ancient Near East sources from nearby cultures or cultures that evolved into the Israelites, right? Because the Israelites, they didn't actually come out of Egypt. They evolved as an ethnic identity that was forging together two different groups of various tribes and clans into a single identity I don't know about late, but in the Iron Age. And we can see the precedents for these cultures in earlier strata and in earlier writing. Lieutenant Matt the Navigator for $5 says, the Kent Hovind Center for Preachers Who Can't Preach Good. I just hope it's 3 times as big at least, because otherwise it's a center for preacher ants. Goop23 for $2 says, thus saith the Lord, trans rights are human rights. Amen. Amen, brother. We will, guys, give me an amen in chat and some pride flags, some trans pride flags. Don't skip the amens. Although I'll take other languages, right? Like if you want to go with like Arabic or Hebrew, that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I better think on that one before I make any comments. But the
why, Kent? You never think on anything, as far as I can tell. You just accept whatever seems to be convenient to you.
canopy then would act as not only to compress the air, making it less distortion. You know, as air gets hot, it expands. If you look down the highway on a hot day, you see little lines coming off. Okay, that's the air expanding.
Do you mean a mirage, Kent? Is Kent? He means a mirage, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, because I mean that's what I hear.
And it's distorting the light going through it. If the air today is about 100 to 200 miles thick, if you squeeze,
okay. The edge of space is usually given as the Kármán line, but that's mostly arbitrary, Kent. There's no one height to the atmosphere. Even with basic stuff. Eris Rose has just gifted 5 Dapper Dinosaur memberships. Thank you very much, because not only does that give me 5 more drinks, it also slightly saves me from the pain of listening to Kent right now, because hoo boy, it's pretty bad. So instead of that, what we're going to do is Bent is going to count to infinity by 3s. Go. You're not going.
Who said I have to do it out loud?
No, okay, well, I'll rephrase. Bent has to count to infinity by 3s out loud. Go.
Oh, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27.
You're not even close.
Infinity!
That's not how it goes.
I did it!
After 27 is 30, and we all know it.
Oh yeah, I forgot 30. 30?
No, stop.
Infinity!
Right, you're just not going to get there, because then you forgot 33.
Oh, that would have been next.
Yeah, we're going to hit play on Kent after you just failed. Failed hard. It's time to cancel Bent. Can't even count to infinity.
it down to 20 miles.
No, don't cancel.
Still wouldn't matter as far as birds fly. They never fly up 20 miles anyway, you know. Very few get up 5 miles. That's Mount Everest.
Okay, I guess good news, everybody. The birds are safe from crashing into the firmament. Sure, whatever.
But it's squeezing it down to 20 miles.
Again, it's just an arbitrary value, but sure, okay, I guess. We're creating a pressure house Earth. Great. Cool. I feel like you might have to worry about oxygen toxicity at those levels. And if the canopy were to ever go away, like, say, during the flood, Kent, maybe you might have to worry about the bends. But hey, maybe Noah just had the bends. It would be really shitty to be Noah. Just writhing in agony as nitrogen comes out of solution as little bubbles in your blood. Jeez.
Wouldn't affect anything except increasing air pressure and increasing clarity, being able to see more clearly.
Okay, I know that on Earth right now, low barometric pressures are associated with non-clear conditions, stormy conditions, and things like that. and that high barometric pressures are usually associated with relatively clear days, right? Like I get that. But Ben, can you think of any examples of atmospheres that are significantly more high pressure than Earth, but that are maybe not clear?
Like Jupiter's atmosphere?
Yeah, or Saturn's, or Neptune's, or
Saturn.
Uranus, or Venus.
Yeah, Venus.
Or for that matter, Titan. Titan also has
Mhm.
a atmosphere that's higher pressure and is very, very, very cloudy and not clear at all. So yeah, overall, you can't just say that making the atmosphere higher pressure is going to make it clearer. That isn't how that works. It has more to do with things like how much, say, I don't know, water droplets are in the atmosphere, or what the chemical composition of the atmosphere is, and things like that. The pressure is going to be a pretty negligible aspect, right? So does Kent think that like a smoke machine wouldn't work inside a barometric container? Like that if you turn on a smoke machine, it just wouldn't work if you're in a
He
like a
might think
dive
that.
bell? Okay. That's dumb. That's really dumb.
I could see him thinking that.
Yeah, me too. All right. We're gonna close here for now on the if Earth were a barometric chamber, I guess clouds wouldn't exist. I guess that's the only thing I can think of that he means. There just, I guess, wouldn't be clouds. Because I guess evaporation just doesn't occur at high pressures somehow, even though it very much does. To be fair, it's a little bit harder, right? But it still happens. And if it didn't, then the Earth would just be a big desert outside of the oceans. So that seems bad. So, yeah, we're going to leave it there for now. Bent, what do you have to tell people on this very strange day of absolute nonsense?
Other than happy birthday, nothing.
Yes, I know that at least one person watching has a birthday today, and happy birthday to you. All right, let's talk about what's coming up here. So, on the 5th, we are having the next scripted video. It is going to be, let me double check here. Let's see. Oh, I haven't scheduled it. I need to schedule that. But it's going to be the next of the Catholic geocentrism videos. That's going to be the next thing that we watch. That will be on the 5th Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. Come hang out for that. I think it's going to be a good time. Then on Friday, that is going to be the 6th at, let's see, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. We are going to be doing Star Trek Adventures, ideally. It's possible we might not, but I think we will. Then on the 7th, we're going to be doing the Dapper Reacts with, let's see, with Kip and Vishanti. That's the plan. Oh, and Lieutenant Matt the Navigator just gave 5 more gifted memberships. Thank you very much. I will take those 5 drinks, but I might have to take them after I give a little bit more thing. Let's see. Then, unusually, but on Sunday, here's the plan. The plan is that Sunday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, myself, Dr. Dan Stern Cardinal from Creation Myths, Erica Gibbon from Gutsick Gibbon, and yes, as far as I'm concerned, that is in fact her real last name, is Gibbon. And her husband's name is Mr. Gibbon. But so Erica, Dan, myself, and Vishanti will all be on Erica's channel debunking some creationist silliness and also helping to raise money for Vishanti's fundraiser. That is the plan. So, if you have been saying, hey, where's the next Dapper Dan Erica collaboration? The answer is Sunday. Sunday. Wait, is that Super Bowl Sunday?
Yes, it is.
We're doing it on Super Bowl Sunday. Hopefully the Super Bowl's over by then. I don't think any of us noticed. I actually only know that because I remember this previous Sunday saying, wait, is this the bye week between the Super Bowl? Because like I noticed that you weren't watching football, and that was the only explanation I could find. Also, Joshua Geese has gifted 5 Dapper Dinosaur memberships. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to take 10 drinks. Bent is going to sing the national anthem of France. And then we're going to get out of here. And if you want, you can come over to my Discord if you're a member or a patron. And we're going to watch episodes 3 and 4 of Monarch, Legacy of Monsters. Bent, let's go. Start with Les Hold on. I don't remember how it starts. You better look it up.
All right, let me look it up.
Oh, it's Allons enfants de la patrie. Yeah, start with that. Allons
That's
enfants
what it is.
de la patrie. Let's go.
Gee. Let me look it up.
This is not singing.
Mar- oh, it's starting. It's not starting very loudly. It's just a bunch of horns.
Oh, Bent has failed again.
La, 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 la.
That is horrible. That is horrible.
La, 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 la.
All right, you're making all the French people cry. Stop, Bent.
I did my best.
I
I don't care if I get an F. I tried my hardest.
All right, that's true. You probably did try your hardest. My apologies to the entire nation of France. I hope that you do not judge all non-French people by this performance, but let's be honest, you're the French. You probably will. Anyway, come hang out if you want. If you don't want, that's okay too. We're going to get out of here. I hope you all have a safe rest of your week. I hope you have a great rest of your night. And furthermore, ICE must be abolished. Hey, before you leave, I just want to take a second to thank my patrons and channel members, especially those pledging $20 or above.
Bent Hovind, Tapioca Weasel, Sphincter of Doom, Regios, Landon Knoll, Ian Chen, Eleron Teller, Phil Rivara, Kelvin Brostick Van Manen, David Hercules, Joshua Geese, Dan Sheedy, Pegajace, The Plastic Mouse, Arrow Dodger, Gordon Love Science, Prixie Purple, Agricola Sequa, S. Kenneth Swenson, Edwin M., Lance Hall, and John Ackerman. It's because of my channel members and patrons whom you're seeing on screen that this channel can stay afloat. Without you, it would all shut down. If you want to join the team, there's a link to join the channel below this video, and there's a link to join the Patreon in the description. On the Patreon, you can get a 15% discount for pledging annually, and either way, you get early access to virtually all of my scripted videos months before they come out for the general public. Thanks for watching.